Hello, everybody. This is Professor Jason Kim, and today's lesson is about exponents and order of operations. Exponents. Many times we call this one as a power. The very frequent mistake my students having it is when you have a 2 to the third power, many students think it is 2 times 3, which is 6. But this is wrong. In fact, actually, 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2, which makes 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. So actual value for 2 to the third power, it is 8. Now notice that we do not have a 2 times 3. Instead of that, we have 2 to the third power. So the location is a little bit up and letter is a little small to represent the exponents. So 2 times 3 is 6, but 2 to the third power becomes 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. So third power means you are multiplying itself, which is 2 in this case, 3 times. In here, let's say you have 2 to the fourth power. Number 2, we call this one base. The small 4 on a little bit of upward, we call this one as exponents. So that's a technical term for this kind of exponents. And the way you read this is 2 to the fourth power. 2 to the fourth power. So this you read as 2 to the third power. Or actually 2 to the third power. Or simply say 2 to the third. Notice that the 2 is the base and small number on the top we call exponents. Then why do we need this? We are learning these exponents to express big number, especially when they multiply same number over and over again. So now if you have like number 1, you have 5 times 5 times 5, and you want to express this into exponents because you are multiplying 5 itself many times. So you call this one as 5 to the third power, or sometimes we call 5 cubed. You can say in either way, 5 cubed or 5 to the third power. Then how about number 2? You have a 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Then you express as 2 to the fourth and say 2 to the fourth power. Does everybody understand that? Okay, good. Now exercise 1. write in an exponential format. You're multiplying 6 times 6 times 6 times 6 times 6. So base is 6, exponents become 5. So that's how you express this product as exponential format. Now, how about next product, next multiplication? You're multiplying same base, same number, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. So that becomes 7 to the 7th power. So that's one way of expressing product of same number into exponential format. Does everybody understand this? Okay, great. Now, example 1.2. Exponents in a negative numbers without the parentheses, or with or without the parentheses. A, even power of negative numbers. Now, when you have negative 2 to the second power and negative 2 to the second power, these are two different answers because one is negative 4 and the other one is positive 4. So actually, number 2, you can read negative 2 to the second power, which means the second power only affecting a number, not the letter, not the sign. So that's same as negative 2 times 2, which ends up with negative 4. But in number 1, actually, you do not read this one to negative 2 to the second power. Because of the parenthesis, because of this symbol we call parenthesis, whenever there is a parenthesis, you read as quantity of. So number 1, the way you read is quantity of negative 2 squared. So that implies you have a parenthesis. Everything is inside of the parenthesis. So when you have a negative 2 to the second power, that power include whatever inside of parenthesis, which means negative 2 and negative 2. You are multiplying base, which is negative 2, twice itself, rather than twice. So negative 2 times negative 2 become positive 4. So you have to be very careful about distinguish these two, one with the parentheses, one without the parentheses. Now, knowing that, how about number 3 and number 4? Can you see number 4 is, which you read as negative 3 to the second power? Can you see that actually represent negative 3 times 3? Because second power only apply the base, in this case is 3. So it becomes negative 3 times 3, which is negative 9. So in here, our base become 3. Contrast to that, number 3, our base become negative 3. So that's the difference. So quantity of negative 3 squared in number 3 is quantity of negative 3 times quantity of negative 3, which become positive 9. So making sure you recognize either you have parentheses or not, because they give you different answers. Now, I'm sure you mastered by now. So compare number 5 and number 6. So how do you read number 5? That's right. Quantity of negative 4 to the 4th power, which means negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which is positive 256. Contrast to that, number 6, negative 4 to the 4th power means negative 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, which end up with a negative 256. So in number 5, the base is negative 4. And number 6, the base is 4. And obviously, exponents of both of them are 4th power. Now, Contrary to set A, how about set B? So set A's are all about doing an even power of the negative number. Okay. How about odd power of the negative number? So in number one, quantity of negative 2 to the third power is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. So you end up with negative 8. But if you see number 2, how do you read number 2? Negative 2 to the third power, which means negative 2 times 2 times 2 in quantity. So it becomes negative 8. So number 2, base was 2 compared to number 1, base was negative 2. But your result to become same. So due to the nature of product of negative number, if you have an odd number of negative, you always have a negative. Okay, so when you have an odd power, negative doesn't make that much of difference. When you have an even power, sometimes negative become positive if the base include a negative sign. So how about number 3 and number 4? Number 3 reads negative 3 to the third power. In this case, base was 3. So it is negative 3 times 3 times 3, which is negative 27. Number 4, this time base is negative 3. Not base is 3. Base is negative 3. But even though base is negative 3, the way you read is the way you read number 4 is negative 3 to the third power, which is negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, because base is negative 3. So you end up with a negative 27. Again, same thing with the 5 and 6, but you have to be careful because you are talking about the many signs. Number 5, you have a negative of quantity of negative 3 to the third power. So it becomes negative of negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3, which is positive so 27 because you have 4 negatives. Okay, so in this case, base was negative 3. Number 6, negative 4 to the third power. So in this case, base was 4. So you have a 1 negative and 4 times 4 times 4, which become negative 64. Number 7, quantity of negative 4 to the third power. That means negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which is negative 64. Does everybody understand this now? Okay. Now mixture. Section C is about mixing all these two concepts. Number 8, what is the value of negative quantity of negative 2 squared? So which means you have a negative outside, and then the base is negative 2, and you multiply them itself twice. So now 2 times 2 is 4. How many negative do you have altogether? 3 of them. So it becomes negative 4. Or you can do this way. Number 9. How about negative quantity of negative times quantity of negative 2 to the third power, which means negative with now quantity on base, negative 2, 3 of them. So now when you do the product of sign numbers, which we learned previous video, 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. And you have how many negatives? 4 negatives. So 4 negatives become positive 8. Okay? Make sense? Now, how about number 11? When you have negative 4 to the fourth power, it is negative 4 times 4 times 4 times 4, which is negative 256. Number 10, when you have a negative of quantity of negative 3 to the fourth power, which means negative of negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 3. So when you do the number only, 3 times 3 times 3 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, 3 times 3 is 9, is 81. And you have 5 negative this time, which is negative. So you end up with negative 81 in number 10. I'm sure you guys mastered it by now. If you didn't, go back and just preview the video one more time. And then you do the exercise on these 6 questions. So pause your video, do these 6 questions on the exercise 1.2. When you're finished, check your answer with a solution key or answer key at the bottom of each section. Okay, pause the video now. Now this time we're going to talk about the order of operation. Now order of operations, the rules of order of operation is PEMDAS. I'm sure that most of you remember this. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So even though they read as PEMDAS, they actually consist with 4 different level of order. So in most highest order is that parentheses, something like that, or any grouping symbol, including parentheses or bracket or braces. They are all grouping, including long like line to divide A over B, like this line, or square root. They are all grouping sign symbols. So whatever the inside, if you have a grouping, whatever you inside first compared to anything else. Or in terms of fraction, if there is something in the numerator, you complete the numerator first and you complete the denominator. All the terms in each one. Okay? So you do inside of parentheses or group symbols you do first. And the second level of order of operation is exponents. You do the power next. And then third level of order of operation is multiplication and division. So whenever you have multiplication or division only, or a mixture of multiplication and division, they are same level. So you do left to right first. Whatever come out in first, you do first. So we call left to right order. Now this could be a little complicated, but I'm going to show you a little bit later. Now the last order of operation is addition and subtraction. So you do addition and subtraction has the lowest order of operation. That means you do this one last, unless all other orders are not there. And if you have only a addition and subtraction, again, addition and subtraction is the same level. So what you do is you do left to right order. Okay. And type of group symbols are parentheses, bracket, braces, fraction bar, separate into 2 groups, like square root, that's all. So when there is a group symbol, if there is only one number there, then you don't do anything about it. You just treat it as a regular number. But if there are addition and subtraction, like many of them, many terms we have, then you have to simplify inside the parentheses first. That, or inside of group symbol first, if only if they have more than one terms. Okay, so that's what group symbol is for. Now let's do some example for order of operation. Now when you have a 10 minus 5 plus 2, minus and plus, they are all in the same level. So you do in order, left to right. You do 10 minus 5 first, which is 5. And then you do the next one, 5 plus 2. So you got 7. Okay. So if you have a plus and minus only, you do whatever come up, operation of whatever come out first, you do first from left to right side. But like number 2, if you have a parenthesis, you always do inside the parenthesis first, only if they have any operation inside. Okay. So in here, 10 minus quantity of 5 plus 2, then you rewrite this as a 10 minus inside, which is 7. And then it become a 3. Now, so can you see the difference between 1 and 2? 1 do not have any parentheses. Second one has a parenthesis. Then you do inside a parenthesis before you do anything else. So parenthesis has higher order than just addition and subtraction. Now, number 3, 15 minus 2 times 7. So multiplication has higher order than subtraction, so you do 2 times 7 first. So this is as if you have 15 minus 14, because 2 times 7 is 14. So you end up with 1. Number 4, you have a multiplications and addition. Then multiplication has a higher order, so you do the multiplication first. So 3 times 4, you write as a 12 plus, next 4 times 2, you write as 8, and then you do the 12 plus 8, which is 20. Number 5, how about 12 divided by 4 times 3? Okay. Don't confuse between 12 divided by 4 times 3 with 12 divided by 4.3. So if the point is in the bottom, that means it's a decimal number. But if the point is in the middle, or a dot, we usually call dot, when you have a dot in the middle, that means it's a multiplication. So what do you do when you have 12 divided by 4 times 3? Here, many students thought multiplication always come before the division, because in PEMDAS, M comes before D, but that's not true. Multiplication and division is the same level, so surprisingly, you do 12 divided by 4 first. Because when you have operations with the same level only, then you do first come first, left side first, and then right side operation second. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Now you multiply 3 times 3, so you end up with a 9. So many students make a mistake on this, so I want you to very careful on that. Have 3 stars. Whenever I put 3 stars, that means that's the one that you should copy on your question section, and you accumulate them, and you always review those important questions time to time, okay? And memorize them. Now, number 12 is a little different. It's a 12 divided by, 4 times 3. That's what they are saying. It's not 43. That actually means 4 times 3. But due to the parentheses, you have to do inside first. So what is 4 times 3? 12. So this turn into 12 divided by 12. So answer become 1. Okay. Now, what if you have number 7? 4 times 3 divided by 2 times 3. Then you do 4 times 3 first because that's all the operation has multiplication division only, which is same level. Then you do left side first. 4 times 3 is 12. Now you do 12 divided by 2, which is 6. And then you do 6 times 3, which become 18. So this particular question, left to right order, because they don't have any parentheses. Now, contrary to that, number 8, you do have a parenthesis here. So that means you have to do 2 times 3 first, which is 6. And then you do 4 times 3 divided by 6. So you do left to right. You do 4 times 3 first, which is 12. And then you divide that by 6, which is 2. Now, like number 9, you have negative 3 multiplied by 2 to the third. So what do you do first? Obviously, you do exponents first, and you rewrite the whole thing. So negative 6 times, what is 2 to the third power? Don't say it's a 6, it's 8, right? 2 to the third power means 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8. Now, what is negative 6 times 8? Then you do 6 times 8, which is 48, and you have a 1 negative. So final answer become negative 48. Now, number 10, negative 6 plus 2 to the third power. So obviously, you do 2 to the third power first. Okay. So when you do that, 2 to the third power is what? 8. So this turns into negative 6 plus 8. What is a negative 6 plus 8? Hey, you're adding it, right? Same sign you add, different sign you subtract. So you have a different sign. One is negative 6, the other one is positive 8. So you subtract 8 minus 6, and bigger number has a positive. So answer become positive 2. Number 11, negative 15 minus 3 to the third power. So obviously you do 3 to the third power first, which is 3 times 3 times 3, not 9. So it's a 27. Okay. So it becomes negative 15 minus 27. So when you have negative 15 minus 27, you do keep change, negative 15 plus negative 27. Do you have a same sign or a different sign? You're adding same sign, so you add the 15 plus 27, which is 42, and bigger number, bigger absolute value, 27 has a negative, so answer becomes negative 42. So number 11 contain what we learned so far altogether. It's a order of operation, sign number operation, subtracting two sign numbers, like that. So number 11, those are the kind of questions many students get wrong. Now please do the exercise 2.1, evaluate each order of operation. So pause your video, do 4 questions. After you finish them, check your answer at the end of each section, and then continue to next lesson. Please pause your video now. Now, next example 2.2. These examples are about the doing inside of the parentheses first. So in number 1, consists with the quantity of 6 plus 3 times 5. Then due to the parentheses, you have to do inside the parentheses first. So 6 plus 3 is 9. So now you have a 9 times 5, which is 45. Does that make sense? Number 2, 3 times quantity of 7 minus 4 squared plus 5. So again, you have a parenthesis and there are some operation to do, so you have to do that first. So 7 minus 4 is 3. So you can rewrite this as a 3 times quantity of 3 squared plus 5. Now you have a power. Okay, so 3 to the second power is 9. So now you end up with 3 times 9 plus 5. So when you have a 3 times 9 plus 5, which one do you first? You do higher order first, which is multiplication. So 3 times 9 is 27. Now you do plus 5, which is 32. Okay. Number 3. 4 times quantity of negative 3 minus 2 to the third power. So you have some operation inside the parentheses, so you have to do that first. So negative 3 minus 2, that turn into negative 5, so that you rewrite the whole thing as 4 times quantity of negative 5 to the third power. And guess what you do next? You do quantity of negative 5 to the third power. In this case, base become negative 5. So you multiply negative 5 3 times, right? So you end up with a 5 times 5 times is 125. You have a 3 negative, which turn into minus. So you replace negative 3 minus 2 to the third power as negative 125. So here you have 4 times negative 125. And then you multiply 4 times 125, which is 500. And you have a negative. So final answer become negative 500. Next, number 4. You can read this as negative 2 times quantity of negative 3 minus 1 to the third power and minus 4. Now you do inside of the parentheses first. Negative 3 times minus 1 become negative 4. So you rewrite the whole thing with a negative 4 inside of the parentheses. So you become negative 2. Quantity of negative 4 to the third power minus 4 become negative 4 to the quantity of negative 4 to the third power is negative 4 times negative 4 times negative 4, which end up with 4 times 4 is 16, 6 times 4 is 64, and you have 3 negative, so you end up with a negative 64. So you rewrite this as negative 2 quantity of negative 64 minus 4. So what is your next step? Yes, you're right. You multiply negative 2 with a negative 64, which end up with positive 128, because 2 times 64 is 128. You have a 2 negative, which means positive. So negative positive 128 minus 4. So that end up with positive 124. Now please pause your video and do the exercise 2.2. When you're done, check your answer with the solution key or answer key at the bottom of each section. Okay. Pause the video now. Now, next examples are example 2.3, using grouping symbols. So you have a many grouping symbol that you have to take care of it first. So number one, when you have a 4 minus 7 minus 10 over 3 times 2, because this long line on the division is grouping symbol, you have to simplify that first. So you rewrite 4 as it is, minus 7 minus 10 means positive 7 minus 10, so you end up with negative 3 over 3 times 2. And then you have to simplify this fraction first, so you end up with a 4 minus negative 3 divided by 3 is negative 1 times 2. So you have a minus operator and you have a time operator. So which one you do first? Multiplication first over the minus. So you end up with a 4 minus and negative 2 times 2 is negative 2. So always a good idea you separate by parentheses. So I always do parentheses showing that that's one result. Now 4 minus negative 2, you do keep change, that turn into 4 plus 2. So that's 6. So this is complicated, but you can do it. Now, number 2, 5 minus quantity of negative 7 plus 2 times quantity of 5 minus 2. So first parenthesis, you have nothing to do, but second one, you have a 5 minus 2, which is 3. So you do this operation, okay? 5 minus negative 7 is 5 plus 7, plus 2 plus 3 is 6, and 3 plus 2 times 3 is 6. So you end up with this. 5 plus positive quantity of positive 7 plus 2 times 3, which is 6. You end up with 5 plus 7 first. 2 times 3 is 6. And then 3 plus 6 is 9. You have 18 over 9, which is 2. So let me show you step by step one more time. 5 minus negative 7 plus 2 times 5 minus 2. Divide the whole thing by 3 plus 2 times 3. So which one do you first? This one. What is 5 minus 2? 3. What do you do next? Because you have parentheses, you have to simplify this next. So if you do keep change, that become 5 plus 7. What do you do next? 2 times 3 is 6. So you rewrite this whole thing. If you rewrite this whole thing, it will turn into, look like this. 5 plus 7 plus 2 times 3 over 3 plus 6. So if I write it more clearly, okay, again, 5 plus 7, and then you have plus 2 times 3, and then divide this whole thing by 3 plus 6. Now in here, you have numerator has multiplication as a 6, 2 times 3 first because it's a multiplication. So when you do that, you again end up with 5 plus 7, and you add 6, and divide by 9, or 3 plus 6. So 5 plus 7 is 12, 12 plus 6 is 18, so you end up with 12 plus 6 divided by 9, which is 18 divided by 9, which is 2. So these are the most step-by-step solution of number 2. Now number 3. You have many group symbols. You have 2 times 3 multiplied by, 3 multiplied by quantity of 2 plus 4, right? So 2 plus 4. And then you are adding them with product of 2 and negative 5. Now you have more than one group symbols. So when you have more than one group symbol, in this case, parenthesis is inside and bracket is outside. So when you have more than one group symbol, you do inside group symbol first, and then do outside group symbol. So in this case, you can rewrite this as, actually you do inside first. So 2 times 4 becomes 6. And 2 times negative 5 become negative 10, right? So when you rewrite this, you will have 2 bracket 3 times 6 plus negative 10, right? So when you do 2 times 6 is 18, right? So you end up with, on this bracket, you have 2 times 18 plus negative 10. Now 18 plus negative 10 turn into 8. Because different sign you subtract. So you 2 times 8 become 16. So your final answer for this double group symbol is 16. Okay, so that was number 3, right? Now number 4, negative 3 times quantity of, and inside the quantity of 2 minus 5 square minus 2 minus 4 to the third power. So when you have more than one group symbols, you do inside first. So 2 minus 3 is negative 3. And 2 minus 4 is negative 2. And you rewrite this. So next line become negative 3 multiplied by quantity of inside quantity of negative 3 square minus quantity of negative 2 third. So when you have quantity of negative 3 square, which means negative 3 times negative 3, which end up with positive 9. So this whole thing become positive 9 minus negative 3 to the third power means negative 3 times negative 3 times negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2, 3 of them. So you end up with negative 8. Okay, so you rewrite that as negative 8. Then you inside become positive 9 minus negative 8. So if you do keep change, you become inside as a 9 plus positive 8, which is 17. So you end up with negative 3 times 17, which is negative 51. So there are many room to make a mistake. So you have to be very careful when you do like this kind of operation. Okay. So now pause your video and do the exercise 2.3. And when you finish it, check your answer with the answer key in the bottom. Okay, and ask any question to me in case you don't understand any one of this. Okay, so pause the video and please continue. And then this is the end of this particular video. I will see you in a class. Be safe and be healthy. Thank you.